Kamala Harris has all but been coronated as the Democratic presidential nominee, which means that she needs to find a running mate. And anonymous sources have told CNN there are about 10 people who have been asked to submit materials for the vetting process. This has not been confirmed, and since it's CNN, take it with a grain of salt. However, here are the 10 names that are being talked about based on the reports. Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear, North Carolina Governor Roy Cooper, Arizona Senator Mark Kelly, Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker, Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro, Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz. Cooper, Beshear, and Pritzker have all addressed the speculation on air. Here's what they had to say.
Well, I appreciate people talking about me, but I think the focus right now needs to be on her this week. And she needs to concentrate on making sure that she secures this nomination and gets the campaign ready to go.
Would you be open to the conversation if Vice President and the Harris campaign asked?
So I think it's really important that we do keep the focus on her this week. The vice presidential conversation needs to occur later.
Or would you then be open to the possibility of being a running mate to Vice President Harris?
Well, let me first say I love my job. I love serving the people of Kentucky. The only way I would consider something other than this current job is if I believed I could further help my people and to help this country.
Have you received any vetting materials from her campaign about possibly being her running mate?
No.
And if you do, would you be interested in the job?
Look, I love being the governor of the state of Illinois, and I've been out on the campaign trail fighting hard for Democrats to win. It's important to me that we win across the board and all across the United States. So I'm going to continue to do that, and I'm very interested in making sure that Kamala Harris becomes the next president of the United States.
Cenk, I got to read for you what Tim Walz from Minnesota, the governor, said, which is pretty interesting. He was asked if he was in the running, and he said, "I do not know that. I spoke to the vice president on Sunday shortly after the announcement by President Biden, and she just made it clear that she wants to earn the endorsement." When asked if he wants to be in the running, Walz said, "Look, I think anybody who wants to do that, I'd be a little nervous about. It seems a little bit surreal." Well, it may be especially surreal for two Democrats who are being talked about the most, it seems, in terms of the Veepstakes. You're looking at Josh Shapiro, governor of Pennsylvania, who is an attorney general and has that similar background as Kamala Harris. And then there's also, Cenk, apparently a lot of talk within the Biden-Harris circle about Mark Kelly, senator from Arizona, married to Gabby Giffords, former astronaut. The theory being that either one of these two could help Kamala Harris in terms of the electoral map. Thoughts?
Thanks for watching. Our audience has helped build TYT into the media giant it is today. Together, we can accomplish anything. Support our work and join us at tyt.com/team.
Yeah, I have some strong thoughts here. So first of all, politicians just can't help themselves. If they ask you, do you want to be vice president? The correct answer is, of course you all want to be vice president. Who are you kidding? So please spare us the BS. It's insults our intelligence, okay? And I like Tim Walz a lot, but he's like, oh, the ego of wanting to be VP. Brother, you're a governor. That also takes some ego, okay? So, and it's perfectly logical to have a governor become the VP. So now, having said all that, there's 4 names that I like only, and 2 of them have not been mentioned in any of those Veepstakes, but I'm gonna mention them anyway. So one is Josh Shapiro. He's an interesting mix. Establishment is perfectly comfortable with him because he's a moderate Democrat, but he has a populist streak to him. And that populist streak is really interesting. So I've got a lot more homework to do on all of this. And by the way, on tyt.com, in our Operation Hope discussion boards, there's a section called New Candidates. And that's where people are vetting all these candidates and having discussions about their upsides and downsides. You should check that out. We'll try to put a link in the description box below. So Shapiro's interesting. I think Tim Walz is interesting. And I'm sorry that I haven't mentioned him much before. I should have been throwing that name out there because the Democratic Party, it's not exactly the Democratic Party in Minnesota, but they have a different name for it, but has done some really interesting things. And actually economic populist things that we should all take note of. So Tim Walz is very interesting, and I'd definitely be, we're gonna do a lot more homework on that, and I'd be interested in going that direction. The 2 that people aren't mentioning is, hey, listen, if you want a unity ticket, Bernie Sanders would bring you unity. And guys, the establishment, don't panic. He's older, he's only the VP, he's not gonna run for president later. And it would certainly bring all the progressives back in. Think about it. Okay, they'll never think about it. So since they won't consider that, Jamie Raskin as my compromise candidate, also unity ticket and beloved by every part of the party. The person I'm strongest against, and it has nothing to do with his personality or who he is. I don't know the guy from Adam, but it's Mark Kelly. Super boring, vanilla. He's got Tim Kaine written all over him. Tim Kaine, at the time, Virginia was a swing state. He was picked, oh, generic white guy, boring, won't do anything. It'll help marginally in a swing state. No, that is in my opinion, that's a losing attitude. And that's exactly what I said when Hillary Clinton picked Tim Kaine. I said, I'm more worried about the attitude than the pick. The VP pick doesn't matter altogether that much, but it shows you what kind of attitude they have, an aggressive one or a weak and conciliatory one. So, and Mark Kelly's also fairly well known for doing whatever donors ask him to do. So that's two giant strikes against him, in my opinion. One last thing, David. The minute that it became clear that Kamala Harris was going to get the nomination, everybody stopped talking about Reverend Warnock and Wes Moore. We're too obsessed with demographics. Governor Wes Moore in Maryland is a really exciting young governor for the Democrats. But since he's black and Kamala Harris is black, people just stop talking about him. Don't do that. Give everybody a fair chance. I don't give a damn what their race is in either direction. So they should definitely be considering some young, successful governors like Wes Moore too.
Well, and one thing that I would hope that Kamala Harris might at least consider, they probably won't because it's the Democratic Party, but maybe take a page out of Donald Trump's playbook in 2020 or even 2016, and that is at the convention, name some of the people who are going to be in your cabinet. I mean, by the convention, we're going to know who the VP is, but I think Democrats would be super excited if you said, okay, Bernie Sanders is now going to be in charge of the Department of Labor or Treasury Secretary, and you're going to have Wes Moore who's going to be in the cabinet, and you sort of go through and say, here are all the people that are going to surround Kamala Harris. To me, that's what gets everybody super excited, as well as, yes, for all of us who love Bernie Sanders and Jamie Raskin, to envision them having the ear of Kamala Harris, not just as a member of Congress, but as a member of her cabinet, her inner circle, if you will. I think that's a way to build up even more Democratic enthusiasm without having to put them on the ticket. And if you do feel like, well, I've got to go with Josh Shapiro because I really need Pennsylvania, and I know him from when he was Attorney General, and it's a good match, great. But let's not forget there are ways you can excite Democrats beyond just the vice presidential pick.
I couldn't agree more. I've been saying this for at least 3 cycles. Name your cabinet. People think, oh no, that'll give the other side more targets. No, it gives you more airtime. And it gets people excited. They might figure out what Tim Walz has done in Minnesota and get super jazzed about it. And it gives people a reason to say, hey, you know what? Maybe I'm lukewarm on Kamala Harris, but oh, Jamie Raskin's gonna be in her cabinet. I love Jamie Raskin. So I think that is definitely the right way to go. But I'd be surprised because the Democrats are usually very, very cautious. And you'll know what kind of campaign Kamala Harris is going to run, and maybe even whether she could win or not based on who she picks, because it'll tell you her attitude towards this race. Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR, so those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.